and welcome to Pale Blue Pod, the astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but want to be its friend.
It's true. I'm Corinne Caputo, writer, comedian, friend to the universe.
Yeah, you are. I am Dr. Moiya McTier. I'm an astrophysicist, a folklorist, and also a friend to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Corinne and I'm pretty sure, are both like, if the universe had MySpace, which
yeah.
I never had, but I think that the two of us would be at the top of its close friends
I think so too.
list.
I did have a MySpace. Yeah. I was deeply obsessed with it. I think it's what created my internet addiction. And I was obsessed, or actually hated, the top 8 category. Because I was like, I hate ranking. I don't want to rank people.
Yeah. That does seem stressful.
And then it was like, what if I want someone to be my number one, but I'm not their number one?
You know, maybe in some ways it did prepare you for the harsh reality of the world.
You're so right. And that's why I'm resilient today.
That's why.
And that's why I know basic HTML coding. Because I was bolding words in my bio. I was doing little layouts.
Okay, I see you. That's very exciting. We do not have any computers with us.
I was just going to say, sadly, there's no computers here today.
There's no computers. There's no MySpace. We're on a boat and we're going fast, and I do not have a nautical theme Pashmina Afghan, but I am very excited because we are circumnavigating the globe today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on a ship. I can hear the waves crashing against the hull. I can hear the wind, the crack of the sails whipping around.
Mm-hmm.
There are extremely attractive sailors doing some deck work around us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time. We are living it up.
The usual stuff.
Yeah.
The mopping.
Yeah, tightening ropes and
Heaving
tying
and
knots
hoeing.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So much heaving, so much hoeing. So we are on a ship circumnavigating the globe because, why can't I say that word?
It is a tough one.
It is. But we're doing that because today we are talking about the shape of the Earth and how we know that it is spherical. But we want to talk about who else throughout history has known that it is spherical, and what are things that you can do yourself to prove to you that it is spherical. And then, we're also going to talk about how to have conversations with people, or whether you should have conversations with people who do not believe that the Earth is spherical.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a big topic. Corinne, have you ever had like an interaction with a flat earther?
I don't think so. I think the closest I got, again, my 7th grade science teacher showing me the video that the moon landing never happened. So I feel like maybe in that, like, there was probably some period of like high school where people are like, experimenting with conspiracy theories.
Is that a thing? Is that a phase?
No, but I think when you're a teenager, and this is pure speculation, there's like a part of you that wants to be unique and all-knowing, and you're not trusted with like responsibilities yet, and also I don't know. I think you're more vulnerable to like wanting to believe something obscure because it might make you special.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I buy that.
That's a hypothesis. But I don't think I have had that kind of interaction.
I've had a few. I mean, it comes with the job. I'm going out and giving public talks and being a public person online who is an astrophysicist. Like, you're going to have interactions like that. And I'd say none of them have been, like, very unpleasant. I have never felt unsafe in any of those interactions, but I do walk away from most of those feeling like I haven't really done anything, like I haven't changed anyone's mind, which is fine. So we'll talk at the end of this episode about how I have shifted my perspective and my goals for those interactions so that I don't walk away disappointed. Because it's hard. It's hard. As someone who has devoted my life to studying space and to knowing about space, to talk to someone who it seems is kind of just like spitting in the face of everything that I know, not just believe, but like know to be true.
Yes.
And so it can be a very difficult exercise in removing myself from my ego as a scientist and to just like talk to people as a person. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end.
But it is very challenging. It's really hard to talk to someone when it's like, oh, my facts are not your facts. And in fact, yours are not facts at all. So it's it's hard to not get angry. I get it.
It is, yeah. So we are going to work up to that. But first we will start with early human beliefs. You know, did ancient cultures think about the Earth as flat or as spherical? And ultimately, it's a big shrug here, because most of what we know about ancient cultures and their knowledge of like space stuff is going to come from their cosmology myths. Cosmology or cosmogony myths will tell us how different cultures explained the origin of the world and of life, but it's also going to tell us something about what they thought the shape of the universe was. Because you can tell in their myths, they're talking about going from the realm of the living to the afterlife, and so they might have pictures that show like where their afterlife is. Many different cultures would have put their gods, their ancestors, their afterlives up among the stars, and so they would have written about their concept of the heavens or the firmament, you know, the celestial sphere. And so we have these ideas. You know, for example, ancient Mesopotamian records depict Earth as a flat plane with a dome above it to represent the sky and a space below for the underworld. At different times, ancient Greek mythology would describe the Earth as a flat plane resting on an ocean with a dome of sky above it. And so there are some of these stories, but it's important to say that it would be irresponsible to take these myths and drawings literally, like to say that is literally what they believed and how they saw the world, because something depicted as a plane, as a flat plane in a drawing might not accurately reflect how they actually thought of the world in physical space. That might have just been a convenient way to depict
draw
it on, to draw it on a wall or like to chisel it into stone, you know, like they didn't have computer programs that could render a 3D model of space.
That's a really good point. I haven't thought of that before.
So there's that point that they couldn't depict things in 3D in a way that would last. But also, let's remember that not every culture around the world would have even cared about the shape of the Earth. You know, they would have had other things to worry about, like how to get food, how to survive really extreme weather. And so they might have been more focused on their local region and survival and not been thinking about the shape of the universe. You know, they may have said that's something for the gods to know, or that's something for the priests to know. Like that's just, we today think a lot about this because it's like in the zeitgeist, but it wasn't always.
I do love that justification though, of like, that's not for me to know. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. There's some freedom in just kind of relinquishing the responsibility to know something. Be like, nope, that's not my place. I think that's kind of the dream, right? Is that you, at least for me, I dream of having a partner who makes me feel safe enough that I just don't have to think about things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best part of having a great partner is like, I know that I'm going to eat dinner tonight and I have no idea what that will be, but I know it will happen.
Right. Or like in my previous relationship, I never thought about navigating. Like I left our home and I knew we would get somewhere, but I didn't have to think about how. Like that was not my place to know.
That's not for me to know. I totally get
it. So we have some records that show ancient cultures depicting the Earth as a flat plane, but we also have some records and some knowledge of ancient cultures that lead us to believe that not all cultures who did think about the shape of the world and universe would have depicted it as flat. So there are some interpretations of Vedic texts from ancient India that indicate that they knew the Earth was spherical by 900 BCE, but it is very up for debate because it all depends on how you interpret these texts, these passages from different scriptures. But 900 BCE is well before the ancient Greeks kind of cemented the idea of a spherical Earth, and that is often who we credit for making that quote-unquote discovery. Usually people will say that it was people around Pythagoras' time who came up with this. As people started to travel more often between continents, so they were going to different latitudes on the world, they started to think more about the shape of the Earth. And so it became a more common debate around like 500 BCE. And by 300 BCE, there was very little doubt among scholars that the Earth was spherical. And that is largely due to the dominating Greek influence. This next section is going to be like, what did the Greeks think? And that's not because they were the only people doing this work. That is because they were the people doing this work and writing it down in a way that survived until today.
Yeah.
So please keep that in mind. Like, I'm not saying that the Greeks were the smartest ever. That's just what we have to go off of. Around 500 BCE, Pythagoras of triangle fame hypothesized that the Earth could be round. Actually, I'm going to distinguish between round and spherical here, because you can have a round, flat Earth. And it's important to make that distinction, because there are some cultures, like the Nahua, the Aztec in South America, there are some records that imply they might have thought that the Earth was flat, but a square with like 4 corners. So let's distinguish between round and spherical. So around 500 BC, Pythagoras hypothesized that the Earth could be spherical, but it was not because of any evidence. It was not because of any observations. It was purely because the sphere was idealized as the perfect shape, and they wanted the universe to be perfect. And so they started reframing the shape of space in terms of spheres and circles, which is why we then ended up with like circular orbits around the Earth, but circular orbits nonetheless.
The perfect shape.
The perfect shape. And like, kinda.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I can see why they would think that. It's a good one. It's hard to take issue with the sphere. In the 4th century BCE, which is like the 300s, Aristotle of debate fame listed a few different justifications for a spherical Earth. The first one was that they could see ships disappearing over the horizon when they watched them for long enough. You know, so when we took off from our port on this ship that we are definitely on right now, the people in the port would have seen us disappear over the horizon. So they would have witnessed one effect of the curvature of the Earth. The next justification that Aristotle pointed out was that they were watching lunar eclipses, and they knew by then that a lunar eclipse was caused by Earth's shadow being cast onto the moon from the sun, because we did a whole eclipse episode, but a lunar eclipse has the setup where it's like sun, Earth, moon. And so they would have noticed by watching these lunar eclipses that the Earth casts a round shadow on the moon during an eclipse, during a total and partial lunar eclipse. But we know that the Earth is rotating. Because if you can imagine a really well, actually type of person saying, okay, you don't have to be spherical to cast a round shadow. You could be a flat circle and cast a shadow that way. But that only works if you're always pointing at the moon, right?
Right.
And even back then, they understood that the Earth was rotating because of pendulums, actually. You know, it wasn't because of the sun and stars' motion in the night sky, because they could have believed that those things were going around a static Earth. But when you hang a pendulum from a point and you set it swinging over the course of a day, the Earth's rotation is going to happen under the pendulum, and so you can see the effect of the rotating Earth. So they knew the Earth was rotating, which means if a round shadow is cast, then the Earth must not just be round, but round in every direction, meaning it's a sphere.
Smarties.
They were smart. This is what I'm saying. Ancient people were very smart.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the advantage of thousands of years of accumulated scientific knowledge that we do.
They were the original, like, iOS. Every generation is a new update to, like, the human brain operating system. So.
Oh my God, yes. That is so true. And as we evolve, that's like going from no, I'm not even going to try that. I do not know enough about computers to try and extend this analogy.
Me neither. I literally only know my phone is asking me to update again.
Rude. Just did that.
Just do it right the first time.
Yeah, but like there's a distinction to be made in this analogy between evolution from like primates to humans, and also, you know, the way that the human brain has changed over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like an updated iOS where we are adding in more information and more abilities over time as we learn as a society, and I really like that. The third justification that Aristotle had for a spherical Earth was that when they started going to different latitudes, so I think Aristotle went from the area of Greece that was more extended than what is currently Greece, like Greek culture, Hellenistic culture, it spread out across more than just the country that is modern day Greece. But Aristotle went from there down, I think, to Egypt, which is at a different latitude, and he noticed that the constellations look different at different latitudes. And even if those constellations were rotating around the Earth, even if that's the case, if you see different constellations at different latitudes, that implies that there is some, like, bend. There is some, I'll say bend. It doesn't even have to be a curvature. It could be, like, a right angle. But there is some angle here that makes it so that you up at the north can't see things down at the south, and vice versa. So those are the three Aristotelian reasons for a spherical Earth. And that was in the 300s BCE. And so people were like, oh, okay, cool. Spherical Earth. Totally down with it. But then they started to wonder, how big is this sphere? So around 240 BCE, a Greek scholar named Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of the Earth in a really cool experiment. So he had heard of this well, like an underground well, in a town called Syene. It's Syene. I'm going to call it CN, but I know that that's probably not how it's actually pronounced.
Seems like it might be right. You get a half point.
We'll go with that. So he had heard of this well in CN, where on the summer solstice, which is around like June 21st, at midday, the sun would be directly above the well. And they knew that because at that time, they could see the entire bottom of the well. None of it was in shadow. And so Eratosthenes set up this experiment where he wanted to measure the difference in the angle of the shadow cast by different objects in different places. The angle at Syene was 0 because the sun was directly above. And Eratosthenes then went to Alexandria at the same time on the same day. And he measured the angle of the shadow cast by a building in Alexandria at midday on the summer solstice. And that angle was like 7 degrees or whatever. And so the difference in angle was 7 degrees. And imagine that you're viewing the Earth from the side and you are cutting a slice between these two cities. So you're cutting a slice between Alexandria and Syene. And that the difference in those angles, so 7 degrees, tells you what fraction of the whole Earth pie that slice is. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so they know that a whole circle is 360 degrees.
Okay, duh.
Yeah, so because they did not come up with it, but they were very closely related to the people who came up with the 360-degree circle, which was the Babylonians. And the Greeks stole a lot from ancient Babylon. And so looking at this slice, if it's 7 degrees, they can say what fraction of 360 is 7 degrees. And that tells you like what fraction of the whole circle is the distance between these two cities. And then if you measure the distance between those two cities,
Sure.
yeah, so you just multiply.
Nice.
You get it. There were a few tricky things here. Like, it was no small feat to measure the distance between Sienne and Alexandria. And what Eratosthenes ended up doing, I love that this was a job back then. He hired professional walkers.
Okay, a job I want.
A job who were trained to take very equal-sized steps. And he had them walk from Sienne to Alexandria, and because their steps were so equal, they calculated the distance that way, but there was definitely some error. There was also definitely some error in the calculation of the shadow angles, but even with all of that error, Eratosthenes got an answer that was somewhere between like 22 and 29,000 miles. They did not have the unit miles back then, but that's what it ended up being. The actual answer at the equator is 24,900 miles. So he was close. Like he was accurate but not precise.
Right.
But that was still like one of the first attempts, and it went really well. And it showed that this is a method that you can use to measure the circumference of the Earth, and also like implicitly to show that yes, the Earth is spherical, because otherwise there wouldn't be a difference between these shadow angles. Like if Earth is a flat plane and the sun is shining down on the Earth, then like there should be no difference between the angles, because the sun is far enough away that it should just be parallel lines all the way down to the surface of the Earth. Yeah.
Sure.
So that was Eratosthenes' attempt to measure the circumference. After that, a lot of ancient scholars were trying to measure the circumference of the Earth. And Islamic scholars really did a good job of getting a precise measurement. There was an Islamic scholar named al-Biruni who came within 1% of the true value by doing a very similar experiment to Eratosthenes. But instead of using like two buildings and measuring the difference in their shadow angle, he went to the top of a mountain and measured how far out that mountain's shadow went. So he was essentially just creating like a triangle, but in a different way. And they were really good at like geometry and trigonometry. So if you could make a triangle for these ancient scholars, they could calculate so much with those angles.
Give me a triangle and I'll give you the world.
Yes. So I think al-Biruni did that calculation like a few hundred years after Eratosthenes. And then in the 1500s, Ferdinand Magellan, kind of spearheaded this mission to circumnavigate the globe. That is something that we are recreating actively right now on this ship that we're on. And Magellan never actually made it around the globe. He died before the crew reached their final destination. But that ship did go around the globe. So they did circumnavigate. And that was kind of one of the like final nails in the coffin of a flat Earth hypothesis. Or at least that's what we thought. Like we really thought in the 1500s, like, okay, we're done with this. Everyone can agree the Earth is a sphere. Unfortunately, no.
Hey, it's Corinne. Welcome to this episode's mid-break. We had to stop recording because we're realizing we're lost at sea. So this is a great time to give you a shout out for our patrons who support this podcast every single month. So thank you, as always, to our Sun-like stars, Sharn Llewellyn, Finn, and Peyton, and our latest patron, Haggai. I hope I said that right. We are thrilled you're here. You too can support us, hear your name on the pod, make it to the patron star chart, all by supporting us on Patreon for just about $1 an episode. The star chart, Patreon info, and more is at our website, palebluepod.com, or go right to the source at patreon.com/palebluepod. And if you can't support us financially, that's completely fine. We love you still, and you can still support us by sharing the show with your friends. Okay, and I want to tell you about Brilliant.org. If you want to learn more about science or math or AI technology, whatever level you're at, Brilliant will help you master the skills you need. Brilliant is the best way to learn about things like math and computer science interactively. There are thousands of lessons from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, and more, and new lessons get added monthly. So even as a copywriter, I really need to know the ways to stay ahead in this industry, especially as it's getting affected by all the little computers that are now writing things. The skills I learned to build my career aren't exactly the skills I need now, but this is where Brilliant.org comes in. So I'm a big believer in hands-on learning, and Brilliant's visual hands-on approach is such an effective way to master the key concepts behind today's tech. Plus, it's perfect for busy people with bite-sized lessons that break down important concepts into understandable parts, kind of like what we're doing here at Pale Blue Pod. So try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days just by visiting brilliant.org/palebluepod. Or click the link in our description. The first 200 signups will also get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Again, that's brilliant.org/palebluepod. Okay, if you're loving Pale Blue Pod, and especially if you're loving Dr. Moiya McTier, you must give her other podcast, Exolore, a listen. And if you didn't know, Moiya is also a folklorist. So if you've wondered about what life would be like on different planets or how writers create your favorite fictional worlds, Moiya has the facts for you. On Exolore, Dr. Moiya McTier explores fictional worlds by building them with a panel of expert guests, interviewing professional world builders, and reviewing the merits of worlds that have already been built. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and you'll get an appreciation for how special our planet Earth really is. So subscribe today by searching Exolore in your podcast app, or by going to exolorepod.com. And finally, one more thing, /plug, for the brilliant Dr. Moiya McTier. She is hosting a facts-based world building course through Atlas Obscura. It's a 4-part lecture series on Zoom where Moiya will walk you through building an imagined world of your own. It sounds really cool. It's hosted virtually over 4 consecutive Mondays, beginning June 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern, so there is still time to sign up. The course is available at 3 ticket prices, so it's a tiered pricing model to increase access for a wide range of students. And in addition to tiered tickets, there's a limited number of no-pay spots for students who would otherwise not be able to take the course. So I really hope you'll consider signing up if you're able. You can go to Atlas, ATLAS, Obscura, OBSCURA.com for more info. Okay, back to the show. Bye.
So now we're going to get into the part of the episode that was difficult for me to look into. This is kind of like the rise of the modern flat Earth movement. So let's all take a breath before we get into this. Okay. The modern flat Earth movement is often credited to Samuel Robotham.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say Roblox.
The inventor of Roblox is descended from the guy who founded the flat Earth movement. Can you imagine? No. This is a Samuel Robotham who published a book called Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe! Exclamation point.
Earth Not a Globe.
Earth Not a Globe! Exclamation point. The punctuation in this book's name is wild to me.
Wait, that reminds me that my book does have a punctuation mark in it, and I think that's so funny. It's how to success! Exclamation point.
Oh no. I love
how to success.
Corinne.
I mean, my book is a joke. Like, this isn't a professional.
Yeah, he was not joking. He wanted everyone to emphatically know that Earth is not a globe.
This is also where I'm realizing him saying Earth is... He's saying Earth not a globe, not Earth is not a globe. My book
Correct.
Is also the wrong tense. So maybe I somehow descended from this line of writing, except my software thinks it's a joke.
Mm-hmm. I really hope you're not in this lineage in any other way.
No.
But yes, yours was a joke, and it is a very good joke, and his is a terrifying, true, not a true statement, but he believed it to be true. Like, he believed in this.
A truther.
Yeah, so Earth Not a Globe. And he published this very short, well, at first it was short. It was just like a dozen pages or something. It then expanded into what eventually became like a 400-page treatise on how the Earth not a globe.
Earth not a globe?
Earth Not a Globe. And he published that in 1881. And he did that after measuring great science here. He measured the like curvature of a 6-mile stretch of land and determined that that 6-mile stretch was flat.
Yeah.
And so the whole Earth must be flat.
I mean, if you want your hypothesis to be true, you need a small sample size. I'll tell him that.
That's true. Just like
that is really stupid.
This shows that, especially, I'm gonna call it out, white dudes have been making grandiose claims based on really small number statistics for a long time. Yeah. Pythagoras, who wanted the Earth to be a sphere just because it's the perfect shape. Like, come on, man.
That's also
I know
stupid.
You ended up being right, but yeah, it was stupid.
That's also a white man trend of falling up.
So would that be easier or harder on a flat Earth?
Oh, interesting.
I think harder. Yeah. Okay. They're just making it difficult for themselves. So that was in 1881, and that kind of brought back the flat Earth hypothesis, but it wasn't taken very seriously for another 70 years. And in 1956, the International Flat Earth Research Society was founded by another Samuel. This one was Samuel Shenton. And that also was not taken very seriously. So there are these waves of people saying the Earth is flat and no one listens to them, but then it gets taken up 50 years later. So that was 1956, not taken seriously. But then the internet happened. And I am extremely grateful for the internet. It is a good thing that we have the internet, but it is also a breeding ground for conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it
because anyone can put information, quote unquote, information up on the internet for other people to see. And so different internet chat rooms provided a space for flat Earth discussions to pop up again, and then they were taken seriously. And so in 2009, the Flat Earth Society was founded, and it to this day holds a conference every single year. Hundreds of people attend the Flat Earth Society conference, and it is like a real thing. Like, there are real people who believe with their whole chest that the Earth is flat. Ultimately, I'm putting on my my empathetic Dr. Moiya hat, like this persona that I have crafted, the science communication persona. I'm tapping into the most empathetic part of that personality. Ultimately, this idea persists. This idea of the flat Earth persists because of bad early education and confirmation bias. So people grow up in communities that believe the Earth is flat. And then they maybe go to school, maybe they're homeschooled, but if they do go to school, our education system, at least in the US, is not good enough to give them the accurate information early. And even if it did, it would be extremely hard for a school environment, for a school education, to counteract what they get from their home life. So they're hearing this stuff at home from people that they trust and admire and respect. And so then for the rest of their lives, they're going to give more weight to data and information and stories that confirm their belief. That's what confirmation bias is. So it's a like double-edged sword maybe of our education system sucking, and also the way that our brains work means that once an idea is planted in our brain, it's going to be really difficult to uproot it and replace it with something else.
And also, I think the critical thinking tools you need to kind of break down an argument like this or fact check it correctly yourself are not super accessible always. And that is really challenging. I think people, it's just really hard to teach those tools. And you need teachers who have the time and resources and ability to do it. You need the people in the communities who can do that. And it just creates this breeding ground for false info.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why you see these pockets, these regional pockets of people who believe these conspiracy theories. There is also something about people who believe one conspiracy theory are more likely to believe a whole host of these conspiracies. And so it is kind of like the same people who believe in a flat Earth, who believe in young Earth creationism, who believe in, I don't know, lizard people. So they all run in similar circles. Not spheres, but similar circles. That's a little dig. But there also, one thing I talked in the last episode about how I just got back from a science communication conference. And this is definitely something that we spent a while talking about, like not just flat Earth specifically, but conspiracy theories in general. And one really discouraging study, or like a school of studies that we talked about, said that, and this is going back to your point on critical thinking, once people believe in one of these conspiracies, like once someone believes in a flat Earth, even if you teach them critical thinking skills, they will use it to confirm the flat Earth hypothesis. Because people believe that thinking critically means just like not believing whatever people tell you and doing your own research, quote unquote, but your research is going to be colored by what you already believe. And so they will do really impressive mental gymnastics to come up with evidence, critical evidence, that supports what they already believe. So even if you do teach critical thinking skills, it might just be a tool that people use to dig themselves further into this conspiracy trench.
Totally.
It's really unfortunate, but that does not mean that we should just like lock them up in their own place and like never talk to them or interact with them again. Some of these people are able to be saved. I'm sure that's how they talk about me too. Like, oh, that gay heathen over there, like, I'm sure they also talk about me as someone who maybe could be saved, but oh well. So let's talk about how to actually deal with a flat earther. And this is just like based on my experience. I am not like a trained conflict mediator or anything. This is just what has worked for me in the past. But the first step, and it's a very important step, is to learn how to recognize when someone is and is not savable, essentially. You need to recognize that some people just can't have their mind changed, and you need to figure out how to tell the difference between people whose minds will change and people who will never change their mind. So if people get aggressive with you when you talk about this, or if they refuse to see common ground on anything, like even not related to a flat Earth, if they refuse to find common ground in any discussion with you, they are likely a lost cause. And it is totally okay to walk away from those people, because it is, you have to protect your own well-being and your own mental health, and it's not good for anyone to continue engaging with those people who just like will not change their mind.
Yeah.
The second piece of advice I have, and this is based on me really having to shift my idea of what a successful interaction like this looks like. But my second piece of advice is don't engage with those people with the intention of changing their mind. Do not try to change someone's mind, because when you do, they are going to feel like you're condescending. They will feel like you are speaking down to them. They will feel like you are not respecting or honoring their personal truth. And that's true. If you're trying to change their mind, if that's your goal, then you are not honoring their personal truth. So instead, start by trying, like really trying to see it from their point of view. Remember that not all flat earthers believe the same type of flat earth hypothesis. I think the most common one, and this is going to be the one from Samuel Rowbotham's Earth Not a Globe book. The most common one is that the center of the flat Earth is the Arctic Circle, so it's the North Pole, and then it's a flat plane that ends with the ice ridges of Antarctica, and those ice ridges act as like the outer limits of the plane. There are a lot of people who believe that within flat Earth communities, but there are also people who believe it in other ways. And so try to figure out what type of flat earther they are. Like, really see it from their perspective. Try to understand what their personal truth is. And that's important because the more you understand their side of things, the easier it will be for you to find common ground. Like, if they, I don't know, if they're a type of flat earther who believes... See, it's hard to do this without actually talking to someone face to face, but like, figure out where you can agree. Can you agree that Earth is not the center of the universe? Can you agree that the Earth goes around the sun? Can you agree that the Earth has a moon that goes around it? Like, figure out where you meet up. And then starting from that common ground is where you can actually begin to make a difference. Always agree with them when you can. Like, yes, we do have a moon. Yes, we do have oceans. I don't know. Like, agree with them when you can. And whenever you're talking about something that differs from their beliefs, always use I statements and just try to be excited about what you know and what you believe. Because they can't argue, or at least they shouldn't, argue with your personal truth, and they are much less likely to argue with your personal truth if you respect theirs.
I wish I remembered the name, but I've watched a Flat Earther documentary, and it was really about the conference.
Ooh.
I'm going to try to see if I can figure out what it was, but a lot of it just felt like the crowd it attracted are people looking for community and looking for connection, and they've kind of bonded over this thing. And we were talking about it starting in chat rooms. And again, this is like not a factual statement for me. This is, again, speculation, but it just feels like when people can connect with each other online about something like some niche, like I know we all probably have little hobbies or some kind of hyperfixation we're doing right now that like we find that community online and find like friends in that world. And I think Moiya's completely right, where like if you are in this conversation, to approach it from a calm, friendly place and not an attack is the move, because friendship might be what a lot of these people are after, or at least I hope it can be solved that way. That would be nice.
Oh, we just need to introduce them to the universe so they can be friends with it.
Exactly.
No, I think that's a really good point to make, that a lot of this is because people are looking for connection, and they happen to find that connection in a community that has beliefs that aren't rooted in science or facts. Yeah. And that doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them stupid people. It just means that they have been misled. And that's okay. So I have shifted my idea of what a successful interaction with a conspiracy theorist is. And instead of success being their mind has changed and they believe that the Earth is a sphere, instead of that being a success, for me, it's when I can get them to ask me questions.
Ooh, I love that.
Like genuine, curious questions. Like, oh, well, how does that work? Oh, but I thought it was this way. Like, if I can get them to ask questions, that is a win. Even if I can get them to accept a little bit more duality in their world, like, they can still think that the Earth is flat if they really want to. But I would then want them to also understand, like, how gravity works. I would want them to start thinking about the way that planets move around the sun. Like, they can keep their beliefs as long as they also internalize some other information that I share with them, because that extra information, like that is another seed of ideas, and it can grow if you like fertilize the soil with kindness, you know?
Yeah, and I think I don't think someone's mind is going to be changed within one interaction. So if you can stay this like safe resource in their mind, and they like casually follow you online, or they casually kind of take in, I think it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think this is especially true. I'm thinking a lot about like disagreeing with family members in a political sense. And I think a lot of these approaches work for that as well. Of like, I don't think that we will agree on policing today, but I think if we can stay amicable and knowledgeable and willing to listen, then over time you may maybe not come all the way around to where I am, but will trust the information I do have.
Yeah. That's because, like, there are other things to believe and talk about besides the shape of the Earth that are way more consequential. So yeah, if you can become like a trusted resource for them, maybe they won't trust you on the shape of the Earth, but maybe they will trust you on something else. And that matters.
And I think it's an approach that works for many different disagreements.
Mm-hmm. So that is how I approach those interactions. You can take that advice if you ever interact with flat earthers. Or maybe you never want to interact with a flat earther. That's fine too. I wanted to give you some like tests and demonstrations and experiments that you can do yourself to prove to you and anyone else that the Earth is a sphere. So the first is that shadow stick test, essentially, that Eratosthenes and Al-Biruni did, where you take two sticks in different locations. They should be roughly on the same longitude line, so one should be directly like south of the other, or as much as possible, and measure the difference in the shadow angles cast. So if you live in Germany, Zoom with your friend in South Africa, and each of you put a stick in the ground and then measure the angle of the shadow at the exact same time. And then you'll be able to not just show that the Earth is spherical, but you'll be able to calculate how spherical it is. My next foolproof test is go in a plane. Take a plane ride. You can do the
Easy.
round the world in 80 days thing. Like, you just get in a plane and go somewhere east or west, and that will, or north or south, really. Like, just get in a plane. It'll show you. The third one is measure gravity at different locations. Gravity does change based on your elevation. So if you're at the top of a mountain, gravity will be weaker than if you're at the base of that mountain. But it should be more or less the same everywhere. And so if you take an average, it should be the same. And that only works if you are living on a sphere, because gravity points to the center of mass. And so if the Earth were flat, if it were a big flat plane, then the vectors, like the arrows of gravity, would not be the same everywhere. Like, if you're standing in the middle of the plane, yeah, it would point straight down. But if you're out over at the edge, it would point in. It would, like, point towards the middle. So, yeah, measure gravity, get in a plane, go somewhere else and measure gravity there. And if it's different, and also if you looked at the ground as you were flying, then you should know that the Earth is not flat.
For you to believe that the Earth is flat, there are so many other things you have to believe. Like, you have to believe that people never went to space and saw that the Earth is round.
A few years ago, B.O.B., the
yes, he became
artist,
a flat
the
earther,
musician.
didn't he?
Oh yeah, he is a staunch flat earther, and he started like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or some sort of like crowdfunding movement to raise money to send a satellite into space to take a picture of the Earth and determine whether or not it was a sphere. And so I guess the point of that was just that he thought all of the satellites that we had already sent into space were lying.
Yeah, you have to believe that everybody has been working against revealing this info. And I think that doesn't take into account, like, how lazy people are. Like, there's no way we're all upholding this mass secret.
Yeah.
I just don't think we are working that hard.
But at least they then have faith in humanity to do something.
Yes. I love the confidence of, like, I can figure this out and I can prove the truth.
Yes. Just give me $1 million and I will launch my own satellite to prove that the Earth is flat. That's all. It started off like much lower. It was like 100,000 or something.
Even
and then
$1 million feels low to me.
I mean, you can send something up into space for $1 million, because the real cost is going to be in developing different instruments to analyze data. Like, it's expensive to send telescopes up into space because we spend a lot of time and money developing those telescopes.
That's a good point.
But if it's just like a satellite that has to take a picture,
we've already done.
we've done that, and like you can do it fairly cheaply.
Sure. Okay, so Pale Blue Pod is starting a fundraiser for $1 million. And we will launch one of our listeners into space. No.
I don't even know if $1 million is enough to buy you a seat on one of those, like, billionaire space flights.
Oh my God.
You know?
I don't think it is.
I hate that. I hate that a lot. So yeah, that is our episode on the shape of the Earth. It is a sphere. Mm-hmm. Many smart people throughout history have known it is a sphere. Many dumb people throughout history have believed it is a sphere and been right about that. So hopefully now you feel better equipped to talk to anyone in your life who might not believe in the sphericity of our planet. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. We would have to change a lot about the pod if we if the Earth was flat. I made a joke list of what we would have to rename our podcast if the Earth was flat. And
yes.
Really there's two and then a weird one. So Pale Blue Pod is named after Carl Sagan, referring to the Earth as a pale blue dot. We would not be a dot if we were flat. I guess if we were round. Well, it depends on the orientation. Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, we would have to rename the podcast. And it would be called Pale Blue Plane.
Oh, I like that one.
Like a plane of land.
Yeah, that has a good ring to it.
Geometrically only, because you could get in an airplane, and learn that the Earth is round. So it would have to only refer to the Great Plains of the Earth.
Pale blue geometric plane, yeah.
Second option is flat blue thing.
Oh.
I'm keeping the blue here.
Yeah.
But I guess what would we look like from a far away? Green and blue. I don't know. Flat blue thing.
Yeah.
And then I can't stick with the flatness long enough, so I think we could rename our pod and acknowledge that the Earth is spherical and say, I love my curvy planet.
Oh, real planets have curves.
Real planets have curves.
Oh. Pale blue panini. Blue panini pod.
Implying we were once spherical and we've been panini pressed to be a flat Earth.
Look, I have never talked to a flat earther who said that the Earth was always flat, you know?
That's so true. Maybe that's common ground.
Mm-hmm. Could you believe that the Earth was once spherical and a great power smushed it into flatness?
It turns out God is a panini press. It's so funny to me.
Okay, I want to do one more. It has something to do with 2D. So like
ooh, okay.
Like something about being two-dimensional.
Well, 2D dot.
2D dot. There you go.
That sounds like a weird nickname.
That has a nice ring to it. 2D dot. Yeah, so that is what we would have to call our podcast if the Earth were flat. But we know it's not, and so we can continue to love our curvy planet. Because real planets have curves.
Real planets have curves, everyone. Don't forget it.
Don't forget it. So we are just finishing up our circumnavigation.
We went around the world so
very fast.
So maybe the new theory is that the world's tiny.
Oh yeah, that also works. It's a tiny sphere.
It's actually a really tiny sphere.
Yeah, no, we were on a supercharged ship, and I highly recommend, if anyone else wants to prove, instead of getting on a plane, if you just want to get on a really fast boat, please do.
Yeah, that's it. And I am dying for some kind of panini from the ship kitchen, so we'll go get that. And everyone else, remember, no matter where you are on this great plane, you are space.
Yeah, you are. Pale Blue Pod was created by Moiya McTier and Corinne Caputo with help from the Multitude Productions team. Our theme music is by Evan Johnston, and our cover art is by Shay McMullen. Our audio editing is handled by the incomparable Misha Stanton.
Stay in touch with us and the universe by following @PaleBluePod on Twitter and Instagram, or check out our website, palebluepod.com. We're a member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. If you like Pale Blue Pod, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
If you want to support Pale Blue Pod financially, join our community over at patreon.com/palebluepod. For just about $1 per episode, you get a shout out on one of our shows and access to director's commentary for each episode. The very best way, though, to help Pale Blue Pod grow is to share it with your friends. So send this episode, this link, to one person who you think will like it, and we will appreciate you for forever.
Thanks for listening to Pale Blue Pod. You'll hear us again next week.
Bye.